Hey guys, welcome back to another day of creating together. I'm so excited you're here. Today we're going to be starting something new. We're going to learn about a new artist named Paul Klee. We're going to be making some geometric shaped cities. So we're going to talk about what geometric shapes are. And today we're just going to be doing a practice artwork. We're going to practice creating buildings out of geometric shapes. So that is our objective, that students will be able to discuss the artist Paul Klee. We're going to listen to a story together called The Cat and the Bird. We're going to identify some geometric shapes and practice creating geometric shaped buildings. So our artist Paul Klee, that's a picture of him right there. And Paul Klee is a really famous artist because he experimented with different techniques and ways to make art, or that's a fancy way of saying that he was really big on trying new things. So when he first started out as an artist, he was a very realistic artist. That means that he made things the exact way that they looked in real life. So his people looked like people, his buildings looked like buildings. And then he said, you know what, I'm a little bored of making things look how they always look. I want things to be more creative and more free, less stressful, more fun. And he actually was inspired by the work of kids just like you. He said, I love that their style of art is more relaxed and they don't stress as much or try to be perfect. Maybe we don't agree with him because I think that sometimes we might feel that same way that he did. But he thought that children's artwork was wonderful. And it inspired him to create work that is more abstract. Abstract art is art that does not look like things that we see in real life. He focused on shape and line and color. And let's look at some examples together. So this is a realistic example of some art made by Paul Klee. He made the people look like people we might see walking outside. The trees look like the trees I have outside my window. The buildings, I can see maybe it's in a different country, but it is buildings that look like real buildings. Nothing too crazy here. However, we know that he didn't keep making his art this way. He got bored and said, I don't want to make art that looks like things always look. I want to try to be more creative. And so he started to make abstract artwork. So instead of making everything look how it always does in real life, he started to create art that looks like this. So this was his new way of drawing people. And you might be thinking, whoa, that does not look like any person that I've seen walking down the street before. And you're right. Remember, we said that his work is now abstract. That means that it does not look like things that you might see in real life. So even though this does not look like any person that we've seen, we can still kind of tell it's a person because there's a circle for the head. I see a neck. I see shoulders. I see eyes. I see kind of a nose, kind of eyebrows. So it kind of sort of looks like a person, but not a real person. And he did the same thing with his buildings. Instead of making his buildings look like buildings we might see when we walk outside, he used a lot of different shapes and lines and colors. So take a moment to try to identify some of the shapes that you see in this artwork, because you might want to use some of them in your own artwork. And hopefully you notice things like squares, rectangles, circles, triangles, maybe trapezoids. Those are all really great shapes and shapes that we're going to continue to talk a little bit more about. So Paul Klee creates buildings out of geometric shapes. Geometric shapes are the shapes that you've been learning about since kindergarten, even pre-K, maybe even before that. They're the shapes that are kind of our perfect shapes. They have names, we recognize them, we all can agree on what they're called, like triangles, squares, circles, rectangles. Maybe you can think of more. Ovals, diamonds, hearts, stars, trapezoids, pentagons, even more. Maybe you can think of more shapes than I'm thinking of right now, but there are so many different kinds of shapes that are geometric shapes that we can use to make new things like buildings, and that's what we're going to work on today. So I'm going to post our video separately because it's a little bit long listening to our story. But for today, we are going to practice using geometric shapes to help us create some cities. So I'm going to show you in just a moment how we're going to do that. And I can't wait to see what you guys create.